On your, does it say record on your end?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, so welcome back to the Maley Way. I'm your host, Jim Maley. Today's guest is someone who is a former professional athlete who may have found what I believe and what I think you believe to be your true purpose through your struggles. He grew up in Homer Glen, Illinois, went to Lockport High School, played college baseball at UIC, and was drafted in the 8th round by the Cincinnati Reds. He's also someone who's been open about his battle with mental health, with anxiety, depression, and what a lot of athletes know all too well, particularly baseball players. We'll get into the yips. When his playing career ended, he didn't walk away from the game, but he found a new purpose in it. He lived the game as a player and now lives it from the other side as a valuable member of the Cincinnati Reds organization. He now serves as the psychology and cognition coach within their organization, helping players navigate the mental side of performance and life. I'm assuming, Connor, by your name, you're a fellow Irishman. Is that correct?
Yes, it
Fellow,
is.
fellow Irishman. And I was called once a stubborn Irishman with someone who was trying to convince me of the whole mental health side. And I'm assuming you got a little bit of that in you as well.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, good. Well, I wanted to welcome you, Connor, to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah, when you reached out, I wish we could have done it months sooner.
Yeah.
But no, extremely happy to be here. Excited to see what we end up diving into.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. And I want to, I want to throw you up a softball. So Connor, your college pitching coach. He's one of my most loyal listeners. We've become pretty good friends. Our sons are friends, and we've kind of become friends. John Flood, he was the one who connected us. Before we get into your story, I'm going to give you this opportunity. I gave this to Rachel Webb too. I'm going to give you this opportunity to lie and say how much you liked them, or if you want to tell the truth, you could have the opportunity to tell something maybe embarrassing, funny about him.
I wish I had an embarrassing story, but I don't. I can't speak highly enough of Flood. I know this is an opportunity to get a dig, but I don't have anything to say negatively towards him. Gave me the opportunity to go to UIC. He was like my initial recruiter, my first contact. And when stuff got hard for me at UIC, he was always supportive.
Yeah.
Went to him for a lot of things. Yeah, and then interned at UIC doing my sports psych coaching during my master's degree, and he was extremely helpful there. So like I got to work, like alongside him, and then also play for him. I got nothing to say about the guy. So
either do I really. He got mad at me the other day because I have another podcast with my wife, and I said he was country, and he was like, well, Jim's over here calling me like a hick, and I'm like, no, wait, that's not what I said. I said it in a positive way. He's got a little southernness to him, a little Southern Illinois.
He's got the hospitality aspect to it,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's a good dude. So yeah, I just wanted you to have that opportunity before we got into it, and yeah, I wish you would have had a little dig for him, but I understand he's hard. He's a hard guy to have any digs on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yep.
Now, before we get into it, you grew up in Homer Glen. You went to Lockport, and you were obviously a pretty high level athlete. Ended up playing college baseball. Ended up getting drafted. How did that, like, how you grew up? How did that environment kind of shape your perspective on mental health as a younger kid?
Yeah. It's a good question. It's hard to say. Like, I think I was just like an anxious person growing up. I remember having like, I don't know, like I just remember that like I wasn't always comfortable like
Yeah.
in situations.
Yeah.
So I thought it was completely normal. My parents extremely supportive. They never uh I never felt like expectations or pressure from my parents to like go out and do anything. They're like, hey, like if you want to do it, do it. We'll support you. Like there
Yeah.
were never like the infamous like car ride conversations that you hear about. Like I don't remember having any of those. Like I was extremely supported by my parents. Um, but yeah, I think it was more internal. Like I just had a lot of expectations for myself.
Mm,
Kind of a perfectionist. Like anything that wasn't great, I saw as just like I fell short. Like I'm a failure. I did something
yeah,
wrong. Um, and then yeah, I think I just had. I think I'm just like an overall anxious person. It's way better
yep.
now than it used to be, but
Uh,
I don't think there was anything in my environment really that some coaches were hard and things like that, but not
yeah,
to the extent where I think it did any damage or you know
yeah.
a certain way or anything.
Well, it's kind of funny too that you said that about your parents because the same thing for me. Like, I think people think because I had a lot of struggles with mental health that my parents were some like they were riding me and screaming and yelling. Like, my dad was the most like both my parents, but my dad in particular was like the most positive person. And it was more like I was putting the pressure on, they were trying to calm me down. Like, they were trying to calm me down and be like, hey, this isn't that big of a deal. And kind of I relate to what you're saying about being like a perfectionist. Like it's a good thing, but it's also can be a bad thing at times.
Yeah, no, you got to know how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. How about like in terms of like what you knew about mental health? Like, were you because you're a lot younger than me? Were you educated? Because that when I was growing up, like even in like health class, there was no education. There was
Mhm.
we didn't talk about it at all. Like, was it talked about at all when you were growing up?
Not that, not to the extent where it really stuck out or had an impact. Don't believe it was ever talked about in any kind of classes. I think the only time where like when I really think about it, guest speakers would come in,
Hmm.
kind of like assembly hall type things.
Yeah, that's what I go around and do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um, I wish we had more because I could have benefited from it later on.
yeah,
But yeah, to answer your question, long story short, it was, but it wasn't stressed. I don't think it was I don't think it was a priority.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know you dealt with the anxiety side. Were you dealing with the depression side like in high school, or was that something that you think came about later?
I think it was something that came about later.
Okay.
So in high, like, I think the first time that I really dealt with severe depression was in 2019.
Okay.
So it was post my baseball career. When I
Okay.
got released, big identity crisis. I didn't really know what to do anymore. I didn't really have a purpose. I didn't have anything to strive for. It was just, baseball sun up to sundown. I knew that that's what I wanted to pursue. So
Yeah.
yeah, when the career came to an end, I didn't I didn't have the skills in my bag to really know what to do. I was just completely
Yeah.
lost. So
Yeah. Well, and I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think I always tell that to all of like my students. I'm like, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I didn't know I was going to be doing like stuff like this when I didn't even know that like 5 years ago that I was going to be doing stuff like this. But um, you just got to kind of like pursue what you want to pursue. And I think it's really cool that you ended up pursuing something that you had personal experience with. And we're going to get into that a little later, but I imagine the fact that you have personal experience makes you pretty credible with guys who may not necessarily believe in mental health. Um, Not to say that if you were just some random person. But I think the fact that, like, hey, I was a draft pick, I played minor league baseball, I was this, that's got to give you some credibility, which I'm sure there's probably not a lot of people with your job that have playing experience, do they? Like, there can't be a whole lot.
there's a handful, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, off the top of my, I mean, it's hard for me to speak on other professional sports. I know the mental performance and the mental health clinicians in the baseball realm pretty well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, like there's a handful without a doubt. Um,
Yeah.
but if I'm if there's anybody who listens in, they might end up correcting me. But I would say
Yeah.
more did not play than yeah
Yeah.
did.
Right. No, I mean, it's just cool. Like, I was just thinking about it from like, if I'm an athlete and I'm going to talk to someone, not to say that I wouldn't have listened if it was someone else, but like if I know that like, hey, this guy has gone through it and this guy gets it from like, hey, a fellow athlete point. I just got to imagine that's got to be huge for you in terms of getting that buy-in. It's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge for me even now when I talk to like athletes and I'm obviously not a professional, but it gives me like that little buy-in where I think people are like, oh yeah, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Um,
Yeah. It helps. I try not to push guys, right? Like and to clarify, I'm extremely passionate about mental health. I'm trained as a clinician, but my job with the
mhm.
Cincinnati Reds is kind of on the other side of that spectrum. It's mental performance, right? So it's
Right. Yeah.
what skills can we train to elevate our performance, or if we're not playing well, how do we restore our performance to where it was? Uh, but yeah, I'm completely open to both guys about it. I try to advocate for the mental performance piece, and then I advocate for the mental health piece as well because I'm
Yeah.
extremely close with our clinician, and guys will say things to me that I can't necessarily like handle because it's not
Yeah.
my role. But I'm like, dude, like go talk about it. Like if it's bothering you that much, or if I see signs that I think that something should be addressed and they're going to benefit from it, then I'm going to strongly encourage that. It might not be me, but I know this person's going to help you out as well. So I try to advocate
Right.
for both directions.
Yeah, no, that's real. I call it like when I do stuff like if somebody kid comes and talks to me, I'm like, listen, I'm not a professional, but like I can be like an agent. I call myself like a depression agent. Like, hey, I can
Right.
I can point you to the right person who can help you. Like, I guess my role is more of maybe kind of motivating you if you are struggling. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like you can get help,
Hmm.
which is obviously pretty cool. So when you went to UIC. You went to junior college, right? First,
Yep. Yeah.
and then
First
and
big
then
college. Yeah.
okay, Prairie State, and then you spent 3 years at UIC. From what I've heard, like, did you deal with the Yips? Yeah.
Bad.
Okay. How can you, for people who don't know what, because here's what I know it from like I loved baseball growing up, so I know like the Chuck Knobloch. I don't know if you even know that name. You're a lot younger, but he played for the Twins and
Yep.
was like a great play. Yeah, and he couldn't throw it over to first base from second base at one point. Rick Ankiel, a pitcher who just kind of lost it. I forget if it was in the playoffs or whatever. And then like John Lester is another name that comes to mind. Like can't throw over to first base. How exactly would you explain the yips to people who didn't know?
The hardest part is that like if you not to nerd out, but if you go into like the sports psych literature and all the research on it, like it's still not well understood. Uh,
Yeah.
but long story short, it's kind of considered like a neuromuscular disorder. Like there's
Okay.
severe disconnect between uh, essentially the brain and body. Like they're kind of the body's trying to do something that it's used to doing, and the brain is kind of throwing up roadblocks so you can't do that thing. Uh,
Yeah.
so like a lot of people are kind of familiar with like the paralysis by analysis. Like you
Yeah.
think something to the point where you just kind of paralyze yourself. You can't act the way that you want to, and
Hmm.
essentially that in like a sport mode.
Yeah.
So it's not a very good analogy, but what I've kind of like told athletes and other people, it's like imagine if you had to think or you started thinking about every little movement you made while trying to walk. So walking is like this fluid thing for most able-bodied people. You know,
Yeah.
think about like, oh, I have to lift my knee, then I need to shift my weight forward, then I need to extend my leg, then I need to go heel down, toe. Then what am I doing with my other leg while I'm walking? And you can imagine
Yeah.
if you tried to control yourself walking, things would kind of just fall apart.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what happened with throwing a baseball. That's the best way that I could explain it.
Is it like an part of anxiety kind of in a way? Like you're overthinking over. Okay.
Yeah.
Now was yours like Rick Ankiel where you lost all control, or was it like making plays and throwing over to first base? Like how did yours come about?
Yeah, it started like context to context. Like
Yeah.
playing catch in some environments was really hard at first.
Hmm.
But then if I went to go pitch in a game, I was more focused on the game than the yips. Like it wasn't a factor. But
Yeah.
over time, it kind of progressed to where it was catch play, it was pickoffs, it was bullpens, it was game situation. It didn't matter. I couldn't perform. Like I could not.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was like I was able to kind of hide it for a while because it was like, oh,
Yeah.
in game he looks fine. But then it got worse, and it got to the point where it was like, yeah, this needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just I don't mean to use the word funny, but it's just interesting because you're very talented. You're playing college baseball. You think about like these baseball guys who are the best in the world, and it just proves like the power of like the mind, like how much the mind can play a role. I mean, Rick Ankiel had to stop pitching, and then well, he was so good that he was able to become a position player when he came back. But I guess how were you able to overcome that? Like, how were you able to get past it? Because I know you did, because you obviously got drafted afterwards.
Yeah. So I met with a fantastic sports psychologist, Dr. Gloria Balagay, at UIC. The UIC baseball coaches knew her, would make some referrals over there sometimes. And she helped out immensely. Cannot thank her enough. She helped me flip my career around. I think the biggest thing, what like outside of her, the two biggest things that helped me personally were A, knowing that it was a thing.
Hmm.
Because when you're going through it, it's like, okay, what the heck? Like, there's so much confusion, there's so many questions. I was able to do this, and now I've completely lost the ability to do it. So,
Yeah.
figuring out from uh, Gloria and then also the coaches that, like, oh, we've seen things like this before. Like,
Yeah.
it's rare, but at the same time, it's common. That to me was like, oh, okay, like,
Yeah.
there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not one of one in a
Yeah.
situation. And then the other thing was like knowing that I was supported by the coaches and the teammates. Like I actually wanted them to know that I was struggling, so that way I knew that there wasn't going to be as much of a judgment factor because
Yeah.
that was a big part of kind of like the evolution process and getting back was like it's normalized. Like my coaches and teammates, they know I'm going through something, and I feel supported. When I felt like I had to hide it or I couldn't talk about it, then I was always thinking like, what are my teammates and my coaches thinking
Hmm.
of this?
Yeah.
That would make everything 10 times worse.
Dude, I totally connect. I don't connect with but I understand exactly what you're saying. Like in terms of, I spent all this time thinking that I was gonna be so judged for like even when I finally admitted that I had an issue, I spent all this time like hiding it. And when I ended up like kind of like telling people, like it was like not as big of a deal as I thought. In
Yeah,
fact, like even at work where I am now, it's just nice to have people know, like, and we like I like joke around about it even, and that makes me kind of realize, hey, like these guys accept it, and me laughing about it makes them realize that, like, hey, I'm doing okay, that I can kind
right.
of laugh about it now,
Yeah.
which especially as in a team environment, like you're really close to all those guys. It had to be nice that they were all supportive and very helpful.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We ended up joking about it too. Yeah, getting into some situations, like I ended up being a bullpen guy. Uh, my junior and senior year, and it was like warming up in the bullpen when my name got called. You know,
Yeah.
my really close friends would be like, "All right, like which version of you are we gonna get?" And it's all right,
Yeah.
let's figure out. You know, hopefully
Yeah.
it's gonna be okay. You know, and then
Yeah.
when I would airmail a throw or make a mistake, they like knowing that they knew that it was something that I struggled with. It was like I knew that they weren't gonna say anything. It was it was like, all right, next pitch, like, come on, you got it, type of thing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
Well, and I got to imagine too, like, here's what I think. I want to get into baseball, but specifically with I feel like baseball is, I grew up playing a lot of, I love baseball, but like, I feel like the mental side of baseball is very hard. Specifically, like, it's a grind, and you are like, if you screw up, you got a lot of time to think about it. Where, like, when I was playing basketball, if I made a mistake, it's like, okay, I'm just going to get it right back on defense
mhm.
or at the next play down. Baseball, like, let's play, you're a position player, like, you're waiting forever to get your next chance. Hitter, you're waiting a long time. At least pitching, at least you get to go fix it right away, except for now you're only doing it once every 5 days if you're a starter. And then when you're a reliever, you don't know when your opportunity is going to become. How do you think that factors into like the yips in a way that you have so much downtime to think about it?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think it's different for every athlete. But yes, if I think if you have a tendency to overthink, if you have a tendency to have like a stronger fear of failure, like rather than having this sense of like I want to achieve, if that's kind of shadowed by like a stronger belief to not mess up, then
Yeah.
yeah, you make an error. There's some guys that have a tendency, like me when I played, to think about how am I not going to mess up next time.
Yeah.
Now we're focused on problems more than solutions. We're kind of like having a stronger, or connecting ourselves to the mistakes more than we would if it was like a fast paced. I'm getting the ball all the time. But that's not to say that doesn't happen in sports like basketball or tennis or things that require like quick action and reactive
Yeah.
play styles. Yeah, it could happen anywhere, but yeah, it could take a turn. Uh,
Yeah.
if you're not thinking about the things that are going to benefit you in the game of baseball, yeah, there's a lot of downtime where things can stew a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm wondering too, like, as a teacher, like, we have like all these problems with phones and social media and like the instant gratification. I'm almost wondering, like, has that gotten harder for guys in like a game like baseball over the years where, our society is like everything is quick, quick, quick. And the game of baseball is still like a much slower pace. I'm
Hmm.
wondering if things, at least we have help. There's, back in the day, it was just like there was you didn't have anyone to go talk to about anything. At least now we have some way to address it. But I'm wondering if it's gotten worse over time because of like how society has gone. You probably don't know. I don't know if you know the answer to that, if you've seen in your research on that, but
Haven't in particular, but it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, what one cliche that I use with a lot of the guys that I work with, and then I have to remind myself of it as well, is like the smaller our worldview gets, the bigger our problems are. Uh,
yeah,
so like if we're in a baseball setting, if all we're thinking about is the game and mistakes and our performance, and that's the only thing that we're really focused on, or the only thing that we're gravitating towards, any mistake or slip up is going to feel like it's magnified a ton.
yeah,
And then if we go home, again, this is kind of just me going off the cuff, but I would have to think like if we go home and then we just scroll on our cell phones and we distract ourselves and um, our world gets very, very narrow, then yeah, I do think that that's a little bit of a problem. If we're not,
yeah,
you know, we're not broadening our perspective to think about bigger picture things, or we don't have a lot of people to interact with. It's just show up to the field, play, go home, and then you're spending time by yourself. I think, yeah, mistakes
yeah,
seem a lot bigger.
yeah, for sure. And well, I guess how do you, as like being in like the mental performance side and being like, what are some things that you do to help those athletes out, like who are struggling with their performance, or like what are some tips that you could, I'm sure there might be people listening with kids who are playing baseball or another sport. Like, what has worked for different guys that you have seen?
Hmm. Uh, so like my foundation, and I took this from uh, way smarter mental performance coaches over the years,
Hmm.
and I've kind of just adopted like their language and their approach. But like first up is like self-awareness. Like,
Hmm.
are you aware that you're struggling? Are you aware of why you are struggling? Are you aware of the obstacles that are getting in your way? Uh, are you aware of the situations that get you into trouble more than others? If we're able to answer those questions, now we can start hammering away at, okay, what can we do on the field or away from the field to address these things?
Hmm.
So, for example, is it okay if we get into an example?
Yo, for sure. Go, yeah, do it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, I'll just take like rumination since we've kind
Okay.
of talked about like overthinking a lot.
Yeah.
So, athletes that ruminate a lot about their performances, uh, usually when we ruminate, like in my opinion, our brain is not very good at organizing thoughts. It'll just
Hmm.
go on repeat. It'll think about a problem, it'll think about a solution, it'll think about another problem, and then the brain kind of just goes all over the place. So I work with athletes to develop a lot of strategies to like either mitigate that rumination process or bring something objective to that rumination process. So
Okay.
instead of just thinking about the game, are we thinking about the game in a certain way that allows us to learn from it and then create some kind of action step on it?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
kind of allows us to like close the book on it and then be like, okay, like I know what I need to work on tomorrow. I learned from my mistake. Now I can kind of narrow my focus to the next day or the next game or whatever it may be, rather than simply thinking with no constraints or like no guardrails about the game.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Now, when you do this, are you like in the dugout, or are you like, hey, they're gonna go see you in your office, or both? Like, how does it work from that standpoint?
If I had an office, that'd be
Yeah.
fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
like it ends up being a random storage closet, or I got to kick a coach out of their office or something like that.
Yeah.
It kind of happens anywhere. So depending on where I'm at, yeah, like if a guy is extremely open with being seen talking to me in the dugout,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about the game in the dugout. We're gonna talk about the last at bat, or we're gonna talk about whatever it may be. Um, but yeah, some guys want to speak in private, uh, and then we have to get creative. Is there an office? Is there, can we go up in the stands? Pregame
Hmm.
or postgame? Are we going to talk over, lunch at the field? In the cafeteria? I leave it up to the athlete.
Yeah.
Or if they don't want to be seen talking to me at all at the field, like we're going to hop on a FaceTime or we're going to hop on a Zoom
Yeah.
call, something like that.
Yeah.
I leave it up to the athlete every time.
Now, is it something that, in terms of leaving it up to the athlete, are you waiting for them to come to you, or is there ever situations where, like, hey, you see something and you're like, hey, let's talk about this, or you know what I mean? Or does it happen both ways? Obviously.
It happens both ways. I would say that I my philosophy is that I'm going to wait, just
Okay.
because now in baseball there's other coaches or other people making decisions. There's unfortunately a timeline because it's a business.
Yeah.
So taking those factors into consideration, sometimes moves need to be made or should be made earlier. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm going to wait because I know what it was like as a player having things thrown at me like, hey, this needs to be done, this needs to change. And if I wasn't ready to make that move, then like, A, I'm not going to make that move. B, there's going to be more resistance. C, I don't want to go back to you because I feel like I'm being forced into something.
Yeah.
So taking that into consideration, that's why I'm going to let guys come to me because then there's motivation on their end, there's an interest, and we probably have something to work with. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you get, like, because I know how it's got it. I mean, I'm sure it's gotten better over time, but just like that stigma of a guy going to get help for something that, they all are elite level. They probably think they can control everything. how do you get like obviously I think your playing career and the fact that you've gone through it helps, but how else do you like try to get like almost the buy-in for the guy to, be a believer, I guess that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really hard to get someone to change their mind. So I try to be strategic with how I ask about it. Like, what do
Yeah.
you know about the mental game? Uh,
Yeah.
what have you seen other people do? Where's your interest level at? And I'll just kind of ask
Mhm.
little like poking and prodding questions like that, not to necessarily get them to consider it, but to more so like, okay, like where do you see your game falling off short, or you know, hopefully you get the gist. Just kind of open ended questions, and I'll
Yeah.
remember those for a future conversation. Like
Yeah.
then if I see something pop up, I'll be like, hey, remember when you said you were kind of interested in that? Like, don't feel any pressure, but I think, you know, maybe there's some work that we could do there. Uh, and the other route, uh, instead of like playing the slow game and kind of planting seeds, is like these guys are in professional baseball have to face the reality that they don't have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
if this is truly what you want to do, and you call yourself, an elite level athlete that is willing to do anything to reach your goals and get to the top, then you can't leave anything up to chance. You have
Yeah.
to take care of your body. You have to lift weights. You have to eat the right way. And some guys are freak athletes, as we know, where maybe they don't have to do those things. But I just kind of ask, like, will you do anything and everything to be the best that you could possibly be? And if the answer is yes, then why leave it up to chance?
Yeah. No, it reminds me, I had a guy on who served in, it's a different ball game, but he served in Iraq. And like all these guys, they would be taught never go see the mental health people. Like that was what they were trained to do. And then some big general came in, I think in like 2017, and was like, hey guys, like we are military men. Like if we go on a mission, we are going to call in every resource at our disposal to accomplish the mission. Why would we not do the same with
Mm-hmm.
the mental health side? And he said that just that kind of got things changing for the better, because it makes sense. And kind of what you're saying, like, hey, you want to stay in the game, like this could be something that could help you stay in the game for a longer period of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's mental performance and mental health. Yeah, and even though I work in the mental performance space, like I tell guys, like you have to take care of yourself before you take care of your performance.
Yeah.
If you're on empty, if you're stressed, if you are facing depressive symptoms, anxiety, whatever it may be, how can you expect if your true goal again to go to performance is this, then
Yeah.
how do you expect to get here if your tank is on empty?
Yeah.
Speaking mentally.
Yeah. Is there any guys like, like big baseball guys who have kind of uh, come out as like really big advocates for the mental side of the game that you maybe point to ever? Like, do you ever do that? Like,
Mhm.
I know like Alex Rodriguez was back in the day was like a like he had a mental health coach. I know. Like, do you ever do that at all? Like, hey, this guy who was super successful used the mental health side of things.
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, again, just because I'm in the mental performance space, it'll be more towards mental performance.
Yeah,
But
well, that's what I mean. Like a
yeah,
guy who's kind of said, "Hey, I use this guy to help my performance."
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, there was a viral picture recently of Yamamoto from the Dodgers. He
yeah,
had a performance journal in the dugout. So, I'll point to that and be like, well, this dude just had one of the most historic World Series performances ever, coming on short rest and, pitching in what we'd probably consider like the highest stress environment in baseball.
mhm,
And he's reading journal. I don't know exactly what it is, but it could be performance cues, reminders, a plan for the next inning. Yeah, I do that all the time.
yeah,
Yes, and then I even though I'm going to go off on a tangent, but like Full Swing on Netflix, the
yeah,
golf documentary,
yeah,
at the episode, the name is escaping me.
The Lucas Glover, was that who it was? There was a guy. No,
Not his name.
I
I'm
know.
not.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but there's a whole
Yeah.
episode, where they actually have his sports psychologist on, and they're talking about not only mental performance but mental health as well. Things that happened previously in his life that are carrying over, to the range and his tour performances. And I'll point to that. Like, again, I'm not going to force you to go do mental performance.
Yeah.
My job is to, if you want to read a book on mental performance, if you want to listen to podcasts on mental performance or mental health, whatever it may be, like I'll point you to a resource. I just want to make sure that that part of your game is covered. It doesn't mean that we have to go sit down and talk one on one if you don't want to. But,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to break down barriers that way too, is that taking care of your mental health and improving your mental performance doesn't have to be going to talk to someone. I'm always going to advocate for that,
Yeah.
but there's other ways to do it. So, whatever your preference is.
Now, are you like working on, I don't know, like breathing? Are you like helping guys like maybe like breathing techniques or things to focus or like what are, I mean, obviously it varies. I'm sure it's like mental health where it's kind of nuanced for each
Mhm.
individual. Like what have been some of your things that, kind of have really helped people?
Yeah, I think it depends if it's like in game or pre-game or post-game, like depending on
Yeah.
the scene. But yes, I breath work is a pretty big pillar of my philosophy, uh, not only for stress reduction, but like relaxation is a skill. The more
Yeah.
you train to relax through controlled breath work or some kind of mindfulness practice, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
So, I've gone as far as being like, can we put ourselves into a cold shower or a cold tub and then learn how to control our breath? Because,
Yeah.
heart rate is going to spike. How quickly can we get it down? How quickly can we regulate it? So I'm not saying to anybody listening that that is what you have to do, but even like guys working out in the weight room or doing sprints, working with them to see how quickly can we get the heart rate down and relax.
Mhm.
How quickly can we focus on the next task when we're feeling sped up or chaotic or things are out of control.
Yeah.
So yes, to answer your question, it depends. Like, do we have 10 seconds in between a pitch, and do we have to do some kind of a deep breath or a release in between those pitches, or is it more so pre at bat we're going to go through a breath work routine to make sure that we are bringing the heart rate down. We have the ability to control our focus and talk to ourselves and put ourselves mentally where we need to be, or is it a post game like we're going to do a longer breath routine to reduce stress, help the body recover, get us to sleep, so that way
Yeah.
we can go do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh,
Kind
so I mean, I wish this stuff, I wish this stuff was back when I was, this would have been very helpful to me. Some specifically like the breath work. I think I don't. Do you have? I forget. You have kids, right? Or do you have one? Okay.
one,
How
yeah.
old? How old?
18 months.
Okay, so this is a tip for you. Use the like. I just started doing this with my kids who are throwing tantrums, like my 3-year-old, and I started doing like the box breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked at how quickly it worked. And they didn't even do it right, but I think just giving them something to do took their mind off of, whatever they were pissed about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be you. I think you could use like what you do as your kid starts to get a little bit older, beyond just sports. Like I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, no, regulation skills. Yeah, learning how to relax. Yeah, she's not very good at it.
Yeah,
But the funniest part is like, I'm sure you're aware, like modeling happens so quickly. Like the things
yeah,
we do, they're going to pick up on. And I'm not saying this just because we're talking, but this morning, uh, I'll purposefully take very, very deep breaths around my daughter. It
mhm,
doesn't even have to be if I'm stressed, but like if we're sitting on the couch, she loves Miss Rachel. So like if she's watching Miss
yeah,
Rachel, like I'll just take long, deep breaths with a big sigh.
yeah,
And I kid you not, throughout the day, you can hear her. Like she'll be playing with toys and out of nowhere, she'll just kind of just put the toy down and be like,
yeah.
oh. So like, like
For
cool,
sure.
just taking deep breaths. Like,
And it's scary. It's scary because then you're like, oh man, what else do I do that maybe isn't a good thing that
yeah,
they're gonna pick up on?
uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
my we're doing animal sounds with her. Like what does a cow say? What does a dog say? And my wife jokingly the other day, I hope this is not a reflection of me, but she asked her like, what does dad say? And she just went,
Yeah.
ah. Oh, I don't think I'm yelling around the house that much, but
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
they pick up on everything.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let me ask you this. When did you decide that you were going to get into this? Like how did you decide and when did you decide? I know you said you were kind of lost, either with some depression, but just lost in general with what you wanted to do. How did you go about that?
It took a while. So
Mhm.
post release, I was released. My career came to an end in the spring of 2019. They basically, it's the harsh reality of professional baseball. They call you into an office. Hey, we've ended your contract. You're done. Uh,
Mhm.
your flight back home is in 4 hours. You pick up
Yeah.
the locker, say goodbye to as many people as possible, and you're gone. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
next chapter. Like we're done.
Yeah.
So that hit me like a ton of bricks, and I would say it was probably the hardest 4 or 5 months of my life, just trying to figure out accepting the reality of what just happened. I have a degree, but I don't really have a passion in it. And I was like, I need to find something that I care about the way that I care about baseball. So I thought back to my career, the sports psychologists that I met with, other mental performance coaches that I met with, which were awesome. They helped me out a ton. And I was like I want to do something like that. Um, I was sitting on a math degree. I got my bachelor's in math from UIC,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I started doing some research, like, is sports psychology a thing? All I saw was like PhDs, and I'm like, well, how the heck am I going to pursue a PhD? I have my bachelor's in math. What do I do? All this, and I got really lucky. I found Adler University in Chicago. They had a dual master's degree in clinical mental health, which I was passionate about, and then
Yeah.
sports psychology, really passionate about. So I got really lucky. They did not require a background in psychology. So I sent in applications, I interviewed, and I was really lucky to get into it. But yeah, to me, it was doing a lot of deep digging and reflecting, and like yeah, like that's kind of where my heart was pulling me. It was like, go do something like that, help and assist athletes, uh, not necessarily struggling with the yips, but other obstacles that get in their way,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that's what turned me towards it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I had someone say this to me because I'm always wondering like I don't like go to therapy in essence, but like this, like just talking to you right now, or when I go and like speak in front of groups of people and kind of share my story with mental health, it like it makes me feel good like afterwards. And I think it makes me feel good knowing that I'm doing something like to help other people. But somebody else pointed this out. Like they were like, well, one of the reasons you might be doing it too is to kind of explain what happened to yourself, like explain it to yourself in a way. Like as I'm going through it, like every time I'm thinking about this, I'm like, oh man, like that makes sense because of what I experienced, or
Mhm.
that makes sense. Did you get that aspect of it too? Like you're almost trying to explain how your life went, um, through what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the more I have conversations like this, or the more conversations that I have with athletes, I think what I'm for me, I think I'm just like I'm making more sense of what happened, because I
Yeah.
still have no idea why was I so anxious right off the bat? Like why was I just uncomfortable and overthinking all the time? Yeah, I think through conversation I just make more sense of it. Like it
Yeah.
becomes more normalized. I feel better about it. And then hopefully hopefully giving that experience, or like creating an environment where that experience can happen for other people, without a
So,
doubt.
yeah, like, and so do you think like one of the reasons that you do it, like, obviously you are in the business of helping other people. And, I say by doing this, like, yeah, obviously I'm trying to help other people, but like, there's also like, it helps myself. Like, it's almost like a
Mhm.
self-care thing. Do you get that out of what you're doing? Especially because you have a purpose. Like, there's a purpose to what you do. Do you get that like self-care aspect? Like, is it helpful for your own mental health?
I think it is, yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will say that it gets to a point where if I'm not taking care of myself in other places, if I'm not sleeping well, diet's not good, travel is all over the place. I don't feel like I'm getting quality time with my wife and daughter. I'm not journaling. I'm not doing my breath. If I'm not doing the other things uh, that I know help me on a regular
Mhm.
basis, and I'm not having like good mental health hygiene, then work feels more like work.
Yeah, right.
Get as much out of it. But yeah, if my boxes are checked and I'm taking care of myself, then yes, work becomes way more fulfilling, and then I feel like I'm getting benefits from not only the things that I do, but the work that I'm doing. Without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just seeing like a young, probably just seeing like too, like something that you worked with a young guy, and then seeing him go out and hit a home run or strike someone, like it's got to give you like not the boost that it would give you when you were playing, but there still has to be like it's got to give you a boost when you see something that you've done help someone.
Yeah, and it's seeing it's for me it's like the full start to finish. It's the athlete approaching you and being vulnerable enough to be like, I believe I need to improve in this area. I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Have a conversation, hopefully give them a space where they can talk it out, make sense of it, maybe give them a couple of strategies that they can do. But the coolest part is seeing them do the work, without a
Yeah.
doubt. Like I was just a vehicle. They're the one
Mhm.
putting in the work, um, taking the skills with them, implementing it the way that they need to implement it, and then seeing the hard work pay off on the back end. That's the coolest thing in my
Yeah.
like they did that for themselves. They're the ones that started this whole process, and now they're getting the benefits on the back end. It's the cool
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I know one of the this is going to be the point where everyone who maybe listens to my podcast is going to fast forward, but I want to explain it to you because I've explained it a bunch on here. Did you ever play basketball growing up?
Not well, but yeah.
Okay. All right, but you'll get this as an athlete. Like, so I was a good like shooter and scorer. But I would also like one of the things that I would do was, all right, I'm going to be a great screener. And like 90% of the reason why I set good screens is I would get my teammates open. It was the unselfish thing to do.
Mhm.
But 10% was when I set a good screen, the person guarding me would have to help off and I'd be able to pop out and now I get open. So when I started coaching hoops, I'd be like, hey, let's be a selfish screener. Yes, screen selfishly. And like it kind of became a thing where kids would kind of pick up on that and be like, oh yeah, I get it now. Like if I screen, I'm gonna get open. So
Mhm.
now like my little tagline for what I'm doing now is, hey, I'm gonna share selfishly. I'm gonna share selfishly because by 90% is to help others, but like 10% is it helps myself. And it seems like you kind of get a little bit of that too. Like it does help you, as we said, in a way.
Mhm.
And again, I know that's kind of my, people are going to be fast forwarding that part of it because I've said it so much, but I think it's so true. When you help others, you help yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My cup definitely feels like it's fuller after
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
after. Yep. Without. Yeah, I can't really
Yeah.
more. It
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I got to think of baseball analogy that I'll use like that. But right now, I only got the basketball one down. But
We
I think
we
that,
can later. We'll think about some analogies that might fit. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So like depending on who I'm talking to, I could say that, yeah, the baseball analogy. But I guess the other thing that I wanted to, so just to backtrack a little bit, like when you were going through the depression stuff, how did that look for you on a daily basis? Like were you sleeping all the time? Like what was it actually looking like?
Yeah. Mm, a lot of isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not spending a lot of time with people. Didn't have interest in spending time with people. I was so kind of like enveloped in what I was dealing with, and it was a lot of rumination about, wow, like I feel like shit. And it just took the joy out of everything. Uh,
Yeah.
being an athlete, worked out all the time, and then afterwards, like didn't even have like joy. Like I didn't want to go work out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to prep food. I didn't just an overall like lack of interest in pretty much anything and everything. And it was
Yeah.
not, yeah. So it was a lot of isolation and a lot of just being lethargic. Didn't have anything pulling me in one direction or another, just
Yeah.
stagnant.
And you had like a tough part of your life too, where you're trying to figure things out. And it's probably hard to figure things out, or I know it's hard to figure things out when you are like that.
Hmm.
How did you work? How did you get out of it? Like, did you go and get help with it, or was it something that you gradually got out of?
Yeah, I think support came from a couple of different areas. I think deep down, and again, this was before the depression was before like my acceptance to seeking out mental health support. I knew
Yeah.
deep down like something needs to change. I just didn't know what it was. And it was like,
Yeah.
can I do this? Can I get myself out of it? Who do I go to for help? What it was just kind of like uh, paralysis by analysis. So it was like something needs to change, but I don't know what the heck I need to do.
Yeah.
So it was reflecting on my end. I knew deep down I needed to do something. It was conversations with my girlfriend, fiance at the time. She knew I was off. She could tell. Conversations with her, like, hey, how can I help? What do you need to do? And it was, I don't know. I just needed,
Yeah.
so it was encouragement from her. And then it was encouragement from my parents. They could tell that something was off. I'm not
Hmm.
very good at hiding it, I think. They
Yeah.
knew that I was a different person. And then it was conversations from them. And finally, my parents kind of like, you know, like set off the dominoes for me. They're like, hey,
Hmm.
like we reached out to somebody in the area that thinks that they could help, and it was a therapist.
Hmm.
Finally, like they put the paperwork in front of me, and they're like, we're not forcing you to go, but like we already kind of set things up for you if you want to go.
Yeah. We what do they call that? We voluntold you to go.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But it came with a ton of empathy. It was like, we don't want to see
Yeah.
you this way. We know you're struggling. We made it as easy for you to make the decision for yourself. And then finally,
Yeah.
I don't have a choice. Like I know something needs to change. Here it is. Here's the opportunity. Let's do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it started off with therapy, which was an incredible experience. I think my therapist was awesome. I encourage
Hmm.
anybody who goes to therapy to make sure that you got a good fit, because I think a good fit is going to set the foundation for anything. And then I think what helped a lot was like my therapist made me realize like baseball wasn't just something that like physically you could do, and I wasn't very good, by the way, but I was good enough.
Well,
It
you
was
you got drafted. You had to be pretty good.
so I swindled somebody. That's for
Yeah.
sure, 'cause I'm not playing anymore. Uh,
Yeah.
but she helped me realize like what were the skills that you had like as a person that helped you become a really good baseball player. So
Mhm.
pointed to things like determination, resilience, work ethic, things like that. And then it became like, can you turn these things into something else? Can you help yourself with these skills make a meaningful life away from the field?
Mhm.
And those discussions really got the wheels turning towards sports psychology. And it was like, how do I turn the skills that I think I have into something else? And it was a slow process. uh, probably 9, 10 months between the end of my career and then going to grad school. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, but that's
Yeah, no.
kind of what the process looked like.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess what I would say too is like for me, even as a play like a I get more fulfillment now than I ever did playing basketball or coaching. Like obviously it would have been nice to like go play in Europe or something like that and
Mhm.
have like this great college career, but I get more fulfillment now with what I'm doing. Do you feel that like this was really like all those struggles, I guess, in the past? Was there like a they obviously wasn't good that they happened, but was has it given you like this purpose?
Yeah, yeah. I with without a single doubt. I don't wish my experience uh, with the yips or my anxiety upon my worst enemy. But yeah, it gave me an opportunity, a path to do something truly that like I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I've, yeah, I can't put it any other way. Huge purpose, huge like backside benefit to something that was not a lot of fun to deal with in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously like those struggles aren't good in any way, but I think it probably has helped you like find what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Which even if you end up going to the majors, like you had a short shelf life, no matter how good you are, where this is
Mhm.
something that you can obviously do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I guess my final thing I wanted to talk about, last thing, I know I don't want to take too much more of your time, but like I'm a parent. I got kids going through sports now. I see the whole youth sports culture and it's kind of crazy at times.
Hmm.
Like if you have an athlete that's struggling, I have a parent listening has an athlete that's struggling, what would be like one of the first things that you would want them to know? Like they're struggling with their performance. Like what could be something that they could do to help them?
I think I think like normalize it and accept it. Um, and what I mean by that is right, like I know I haven't faced it yet, but I know I'm gonna face it with my daughter if she gets into sports. I'm gonna want to go into fix mode right away.
Hmm.
Like, how do I help you? Like,
Yeah,
what do we need to do to help? And I think by skipping the first step of like, hey, I know you're struggling. I don't know what it's like. I'm sure the expectations are huge, whatever it may be, fill in the gaps, right? Like your parents, you as parents are gonna know your kids better than anything. Um, but like sit with them. I don't know, sit with them. Let them talk about it.
yeah,
What's at the root? Do we have an open, like a close enough relationship where you can tell me like, what's going on? Uh, rather than go right into fix mode might be
yeah,
my biggest thing. Or, hey, like I went through something similar. This is what helped me. That might not actually be the thing that is getting in your child's way. Um,
yeah,
and again, this is me speaking as someone who hasn't dealt with this. So
yeah,
might be a lot of people who disagree with me or think that there's a better way. I think just like holding space for your kid to just struggle and
yeah,
inquiring with curiosity about what it is rather than passing judgment or trying to find a solution right away, I think might
yeah.
help.
I think that what you just said, I think is a great like giving them space to struggle, like or fail at times. Like I guess even when I watch my kids, sometimes I like when they fail. I like to see how they react and how they recover from it. And I almost try to frame it that way with them. Like, you know, failure, like that's one of the best parts about sports is it teaches you how to fail and overcome it. And I almost like try to frame that in a positive way. Like, yeah, so what? Like, this is good. This is good. This is going to help you become
Mhm.
better. I just see so many people not allowing their kids to fail. And I just, I just see it being a problem. I see it being a problem from the mental health side of things, just because youth sports has gotten way out of control from where it was from when I did it. I'm sure it was starting to evolve that way when you were
Hmm.
going through it. And then I'm sure as your kid, or future kids like get involved in it, it's going to be the same thing, I think. But allowing them to struggle, I think that's a great thing. But still being there to, hey, let's talk
Right.
about it and help them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think
It's
I know you haven't done it yet, but you're on the right path, I think, with that one from my
hopefully,
experience.
hopefully. My wife is way smarter and more capable than me, so she's gonna have some great ideas. Um,
Well,
but
no,
yeah,
you were smart for getting someone that was way smarter and more.
you're not wrong about that.
Yeah. Well, Connor, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I just wanted to thank you. Like I said, like I don't know, like the reason why I'm doing this is like I want to help other people by listening to someone like you who has gone through it, and someone in the sports world. I think a lot of people can relate to that, but like I don't know, just talking to you, like it helps me. Like I'm gonna have like a little pep in my step when I leave. And I don't know if that I'm just weird like that or
No,
what, but
no,
um,
I didn't mean to cut you off. I feel the same way. I was
yeah,
stoked about this. I think it's a yeah, helps me a ton. But yeah, it's a topic that I'm just trying to bring awareness to as well. Like I to be completely honest, like I usually wear my hat backwards. I usually have a hoodie.
yeah,
Uh, I don't think I give off the vibe of like someone who, would talk about mental health and mental performance, but like I'm a human being. The people I work with are human beings. Like
yeah,
we're all going through something. So
yeah. But I think too, like what you're saying there is you don't look like the type of person, and I think the same with me. Like you can't see me now, but I'm like big. I'm like big. I'm like 6'7". I'm a big dude. But I think when people see people talking about it who don't look like the people that should be talking about it, I think that gets like a little more buy-in, like a little more
right,
belief for people who maybe can't believe it. So that's why I think it's cool I think it's cool that you're so open and honest about, what you went through. Because I'm sure there wasn't a whole lot of, I don't know, even with the yips, like I'm sure those guys who went through it in the 80s and 70s, they weren't like talking about it too much, or there was no, like you said, no literature about it, because those guys were probably keeping it hidden because that was the thing to do back then. But I think it's cool if someone like you who is open and honest about it. I think that's going to be helpful to a lot of future counter Ryans coming up that may go through that one day.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you again. And like I always end every podcast, I say, by sharing our stories, not only do we help others, but hopefully we end up helping ourselves, because that's the Maley way. Thank you.
Thank
Oh, that was good. I really appreciate. I thought it was really good. Have you done this before?